أعوذ بالله السميع العليم من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على المبعوث رحمة للعالمين نصلي عليه في الأولين وفي الآخرين وفي الملأ الأعلى يا رب العالمين أوصيكم نفسي بتقوى الله عز وجل كما جاء في محكم التنزيل يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله وقولوا قولا سديدا يصلح لكم أعمالكم ويغفر لكم ذنوبكم ومن يطع الله ورسوله فقد فاز فوزا عظيما. Brothers and sisters, we begin seeking the protection, the safety and refuge in Allah. La manja wa la malja illa Allah. There is no salvation, no place of safety except for with God alone. And we remember that all things that exist, including ourself, our heart as it's beating, our family that we love, everything we cherish is simply a blessing of His mercy that He has surrounded us with. So we praise Him in abundant praise. And we seek to live a life that reflects that gratitude. We ask Him to send His peace and blessings and mercy upon His final messenger Muhammad, whom He sent as an act of kindness, of compassion and benevolence to all of the earth. Right now, as a believer, as a human being, your heart should feel the pain of the suffering going on all over the place. If our hearts are not feeling that pain, if we do not feel that sadness about all of this strife and corruption and bloodshed and oppression that's all over the earth, the powers that be do not care about morality. If we're not feeling that pain, then our heart is dead. We have to definitely revive it. And so we come to this khutbah, we come to this Friday service to be energized, to be given a message that will give us meaning from divine scripture. And so right now, I want to make a correlation between three very unfortunate events going on in the world. In 2016 and 2017, the world witnessed a genocide in Myanmar and a displacement. Tens of thousands of Muslims were tied up and burned alive in their homes. People were hacked up, shot, and sent away as refugees displaced. And my son told me that his social studies teacher did not know that this happened. This is where we're at. But if we look at what was the justification in 2016 and 2017, please follow the dates I'm going to give. I'm going to give 3 sets of dates. It was a Buddhist nationalist movement that said the Muslims are terrorists. Islamophobia. That was their green light. That was their ticket. In China, there is a group called the Uyghurs, a predominantly Muslim, Turkish-based group, ethnic minority in China. They live in the Xinjiang province. There's millions of them. We have seen since 2016, same date. Since 2016, we have been witnessing giant concentration camps built. And over 1 million Muslims have been rounded up. At first they tried to deny it. Then when the evidence became clear, then they said, well, we're re-educating them because they're terrorists. They're extremists. Again, Islamophobia. And so the witnesses on the inside, some moral Chinese soldiers took videos and spread them around so that people could see the terrible oppression and carnage that is happening in nothing short of what happened in Nazi Germany. Back then, it was a world war. Now, everybody just, well, this is what's going on, what are we going to do? And so, now we see in the neighbor of China, the second most populated country in the world, India. So in 2014, pay attention, this guy named Narendra Modi, if I'm saying his name right, they elected him prime minister. He wanted to distance himself as a politician from his past in Gujarat, where there was a massacre of Muslims, and he was part of a Hindu nationalist group that pretty much was the perpetrators. And so then he actually campaigned in 2014 as Indian unity. I'm for the worker, for the poor people. So bring it all together. And he actually welcomed in his party in 2014, the BJP, moderates who are against Hindu nationalism. And they see that that's been going on, and they see it as a threat to the society. People who are more in tune with the Gandhi's perspective of India. But in 2016, Modi's kind of attitude changed. And the Hindu nationalist movement of India started to get very, very intense. And hundreds of Muslims have been murdered, thousands tortured all over India. And the government turning a blind eye. And so this rise of vigilante Hindu nationalism has taken India. At this point, Modi's government has fully embraced the Hindutva, or however you say that. And they are a Hindu nationalist movement. And they are emboldened to the extent that they are now annexing Kashmir, the historic middle part of India, what is now right between northern Pakistan and India. And India, to keep the peace, was the one who made the declaration historically that while there's a dispute over who has real claim, and India and Pakistan both believe they do, it's 70-some% Muslim, just so you know, Kashmir. 2 months ago, they rescinded that. They revoked the special status of Kashmir to have their own governance, and they invaded. The Indian government sent tens of thousands of soldiers of the Indian military into Kashmir, and they have locked it down, and they have arrested 100,000 Muslims for protesting, and cell phones, landlines, internet access has all been removed for now 57 days. He's annexing a country because of Hindu nationalism. This is our land. And so now we have the Muslim leaders of the Gulf are praising China and saying they have a right to do what they're doing. A report came out a few days ago that they're harvesting organs from live Uyghurs, hearts, kidneys, livers, all that. They're taking it out of live people. This was the China Board of Human Rights, that's an international body based in Australia. And they came forth, and the Human Rights Watch in the UN has all, this is not a conspiracy theory. This is an actual legal complaint with evidence. Just like there is a complaint about our current president and the impeachment. It's that serious. And the world is just watching as this Nazi movement comes out of there. And Muslim leaders are giving these people respect, and they are giving them awards. They gave Modi an award in the UAE. And Bill Gates should know better. He's giving, if I build a bunch of toilets, I mean, why is that an award anyways? We have a lot more work to do than that in this world. So I'm asking you, Islamophobia started right there with Cheney and Rumsfeld and all of them in 2001. And Islamophobia has been around, we know here, since 2001 all the way up to 2016. But what in 2016 happened? 2015 and 2016, what happened? What signal was given to these nationalist leaders of Myanmar, India, and China? I'll tell you what that signal was. Islam hates us. I, Donald J. Trump, am calling for a full halt on all Muslims entering the United States of America. Meaning, whatever these alleged criminals and terrorists did in San Bernardino, California, all Muslims are potentially guilty for that. Because why? Because it's their religion. So anybody who's Muslim, I hold them a suspect. And so these nationalist people over in China and Myanmar and India are like, oh, wow, the leader of the free world hates Muslims. And has basically told the world that they're a threat to us. So if we have any political ambition to purify our lands of Muslims, now's the time. This is what's going on. And here we are, busy in our comfort zone. So the question is, what do we do about it? We didn't come to the khutbah to start feeling bad about everything and get all sad and upset. We came here to learn something, to become better people. So what are we going to do? What could we do and what should we do? Because we can do a lot of things. The question is, what should we do? First and foremost, we have to realize what change happened in Arabia 14 centuries ago. They called it Jahiliyyah, and then what changed in them? Islam. Islam was not simply just some beliefs. Be careful. Secularism is a permeating force that is just drawing the faith out of the hearts. This country added 12% in 10 years of non-affiliated religious people. It's a powerful growing force to marginalize and to remove religiosity, to make sure that faithful scriptural morals are not what's governing things, and that we can actually control the religious people through some political directives. And so the Jahiliyyah was people who are just going along, pay attention, Jahiliyyah was just going along with my cultural thing, whatever is normal, whatever the leaders and the rulers do, and I'm just trying to make my money and do my family, and we go along with these beliefs and practices because we don't want to shake up the community here. But then, this whole movement of change, in which people's intellectual stimulus of moral consciousness started to take place, and they started freeing slaves. They started looking out for the wayfarer and the one that's struggling, not to gain political interest or to have a poet say something about them, for the sake of God. And you read these surahs that were revealed in Mecca. This is Juz Amma, taking care of the less fortunate. Kalla balla tukrimun al-yatim. You're complaining about all of these tugha. Read the beginning of Surah Al-Fajr. It's talking about the darkness of Jahiliyyah and what our role is in bringing the light of Islam. So there's all these corrupt tyrants. Allah will take care of them. Question is, what are you doing? What is your role in all of this? So we have to definitely feel that our first priority is education, holistically. We have to educate ourselves. We have to become educated to a degree where our education is comprehensive. How we can relate to ourselves and our family, and how we relate to our neighbor and our colleague and our classmate, it's all about uplifting morality. It's all about uplifting truth and justice and compassion and wisdom. The characters that the Prophet ﷺ taught as an example, which all come from Asma Allah al-Husna, from the divine traits of that which brought everything to existence. We are the ambassadors of the prophethood. We are the ambassadors of God to the earth. We should feel this need. So as we educate ourselves, and then we become comfortable educating others, because we have to feel urgency. It's getting worse. It's not going away. There's work to do. So secondly, we have to engage our elected officials. We have to be part of the system, a contributing part of the system, with a unique look at the values that our faithful community brings for the welfare of this country. Because it came from the White House of this country, where people felt that now we can get away with this. Imagine if the White House of this country respects us and appreciates us because and by virtue of our contribution, our character, our word, and our deed, it makes this country a better place. When that happens, because Muslims are comfortable being Muslim,
then you will see a different world stage. You have an opportunity. I can't give this khutbah in any Muslim country. They will remove me permanently. This is a big blessing. They gave us the keys to the Wizarat al-Awqaf. It's yours. But they're betting and gambling on their secular model that you're going to be so busy working so hard just to pay bills and worrying about your debts that you're going to want to entertain yourself and keep busy entertaining yourself. And then religion and mosque and congregation and being part of the fabric of the growth and development of our community is going to take a low priority. How much time and skill and wealth you're willing to invest into all of that. And so we are called to engage in society, to let people know. Question, ask yourself. So I've given many sermons on this. Ask it, like right now everybody ask themselves, how many times did I call my elected officials, my senators, my state reps, my House of Representatives? How many times did I call them? How many times did I send them emails? How many times did I send them? And if you're thinking while I'm saying this, man, this fool over here, that ain't going to cause anything. You do not know where you are sitting. You are stuck somewhere else. Your body has moved to a different place across the ocean, but your mind has not joined it. And so we have a great potential. This is a hope khutbah. We have huge potential here. But they're betting that they'll keep you busy trying to pay off them bills and entertaining yourself. And religion will mean nothing, and then this religion will not do anything. And then we'll keep the power, and the oppression will perpetuate and become more normal and more normal. We'll find ourselves in the Hunger Games, watching things. Oh, look how he killed that guy. I mean, MMA, a girl just died yesterday. I'm going on a tangent. Yadullahi ma'al jama'ah. You have to get involved. You have to be part of a congregation. The hand of God is with the congregation. This haphazard, feel-good Islam, inshallah, it feels like we'll feed the poor today. That's good, but you have to be organized and strategized. The Prophet ﷺ, his mosque was filled every day, and people were concerned and finding out about new opportunities and how to address the ills and the difficulties and how to uplift and give people value and comfort. That was what was going on every day in the mosque. All mosques were filled. They were a center of gravitational pull for moral point of focus. We've been secularized worldwide. The mosque is a place where old guys go pray. Full stop. That's not its purpose. He wants you to come together so that you will come together as moral conscious beings to do some good for the world. That's the second half of the mission. Not just pray and check your box. Our whole life is a box. إِلَّا تَنْصُرُوهُ فَقَدْ نَصَرَهُ اللَّهُ. This ayah comes in the middle of Surah At-Tawbah. If you don't support him, no, Allah has supported him. Then he gives an example. إِذْ أَخْرَجَهُ الَّذِينَ كَفَرُوا ثَانِيَ اثْنَيْنِ إِذْ هُمَا فِي الْغَارِ. So the disbelievers have removed him from his homeland. They have ridiculed, mocked, humiliated, killed and tortured his companions. And they've said, 100 camels, dead or alive, bring me Muhammad. So he's left. He has nothing. He's got whatever he can fit in his pockets. Him and Abu Bakr in the cave. And Abu Bakr is a reasonable guy. Radiallahu anhu. Rational guy. So they hear people talking and coming around. He was shook to the core. He knows they're going to get killed. That's what's going to happen. It's obvious. And the Prophet, without hesitating, without any fear in his eyes or his demeanor, لا تحزن إن الله معنا. Don't be worried. Allah's with us. What do you think about two? And God is the third among them. What army could defeat that? So then Allah blessed them and got them out. جعل كلمة الذين كفروا السفلى. And this corrupt, evil, forceful, rights-depriving movement of the Quraysh and the others who joined them, it was made lowly, and miracle upon miracle happened. This is in the cave. Imagine in Ahzab, 10,000 warriors from 3 different big giant tribes. The Jewish and the Quraysh have all gathered together to destroy this religion once and for all. The Prophet ﷺ hears about that, and we need to dig a ditch. He's taking lessons learned from a person from a non-Muslim land, because you can learn from other people. So let's build the ditch. And then they found a big boulder. This boulder is not budging. We can't break it. Everybody's tried to break it. Ya Rasulullah, help us. So he comes and he hits it, Bismillah. And it cracks, and they said, we saw a bolt of light come out of there. And then he cracked it again, Bismillah, another bolt of light. The third time here it crumbles. He said, Ya Rasulullah, what the heck just happened? They're witnessing this miraculous thing happen. He said, the first time I hit it, I saw the keys to Yemen. That the Muslims will spread and grow and bring our religion to Yemen. And then the second time I hit it, I saw Persia. And then the third time I saw Rome. That sounded crazy. They were under the situation like we're talking about. Myanmar, India, China, Muslims under the gun here in America. They were in a worse situation. They were surrounded by 10,000 soldiers going to kill them all. We're not that bad. We don't have that situation. It's a lot more sophisticated today. And so he said this. And then guess what happened? 35 years from him saying that, all of those lands became ruled and regulated by Muslims, which was crazy. It'd be like saying, there's this new guy in Puerto Rico. He has a following of maybe 10,000. And he's going to take over America, and then he will go across and take over Europe. His movement is that powerful. Who's buying this? This is what happened. Because it wasn't about control or domination. It was about God's word spreading to the corners of the earth so that we could all sit here today. But they felt this urgency, this responsibility. So, the concept of hope is rooted in work. When you think hope, you think of some guy sitting there, inshallah Allah will bless us. And then they go back to whatever they're doing, which is not Islam. That is hopeful. Inshallah. Throwing around inshallah, like we do. This is actually very, very unfortunate. That word, that phrase is a phrase of reliance. Insha'Allah, meaning, ana shit. I have put my will and my dedication into this endeavor. I will do my best. But I know I don't control what is created in the outcomes. There is one who will decide if my intentions will come to fruition. How many people hear that? If you ask your kids, all of you, they'll say, it probably ain't going to happen. This is a framework of attitude, of dhikr, of the remembrance of Allah. How do we perceive it? How do we live it? We have a lot of work to do. If you just look at what changed from Jahiliyyah to Islam, we have a lot of work to do. Because if there were 7 centuries of world history where the world was like, look at the Muslims. Let's go travel to the Islamic Caliphate so we can learn Arabic, so we may learn the sciences. We learn medicine and trigonometry. That was a time. The first well-cultured and integrated, civilized city of 1 million people with thousands of libraries and schools was Cordoba, where Muslims, Jews, and Christians respected each other, understood each other, intellectually grappled, and all had places of authority and respect in the government, which was a caliphate. We're far detached from that. We have to work in ourselves to revive that. So the Quran tells us that the mode of hope is rooted in work. إِنَّ الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا وَالَّذِينَ هَاجَرُوا وَجَاهَدُوا فِي سَبِيلِ اللَّهِ أُولَٰئِكَ يَرْجُونَ رَحْمَةَ اللَّهِ. Those who have truly secured their souls in faith, and they have migrated for the purpose of best living out their faith. And I'm here to tell you, this is the best place to live out your faith. I've traveled the world and I've studied how things are. You're given the full freedom to be as Muslim as you like. You can gather, build your mosque, build your school, build your organization. You can be as Muslim as you want here. So they migrate to that place for the sake of, not for the sake of making more money and getting a better general education for myself and family. This is mata'ud dunya, ghurur. It's a delusion. It has no actual real value in itself. When we migrate for the sake of uplifting goodness and feeling the freedom to be ourselves, to practice our religion. وَجَاهَدُوا فِي سَبِيلِ اللَّهِ. We have to be willing to take ourselves out of our comfort zone, put our time, our skills, and our wealth in causes that will bring morality, but it won't be easy. The Prophet ﷺ's whole life was jihad. And he explained it. Allah ukhbirukum bil mu'minin. The Prophet ﷺ said, would you like me to tell you what it means to be a believer? And this hadith is in Sahih Sunan al-Nasa'i. He said, Man aminahu an-nas ala amwalihim wa anfusihim. Whoever people feel from that person that their self and their livelihood and their wealth is preserved and safe, that's a believer. Other people feel safe around them. Other people feel like their economic situation is comfortable. Al-Muslimu man salima an-nasu min lisanihi wa yadihi. Many people narrate the other narration that makes it specific to Muslims. Of course, the Prophet was trying to cultivate a special collective nature amongst the Muslims, but he did say in this authentic hadith that the believer is one who others are safe from their tongue and their hands. Meaning, a Muslim is one who does not abuse somebody with their words. They don't abuse somebody. They don't do violence unless they're defending themselves against immediate danger. That's a Muslim, according to the Prophet ﷺ. وَالْمُجَاهِدُ مَنْ جَاهَدَ نَفْسَهُ. The mujahid, the one that's doing the jihad, that is someone who daily is struggling with their desires and their selfish, egotistical desires of this world. And they try to rise above that and embrace that spiritual truth. وَالْمُهَاجِرُ مَنْ هَجَرَ الْخَطَايَا وَالذُّنُوبِ. And the true migrant is the one who leaves sin. Meaning it's people and the things that entice to it. They leave sin. They don't just stop doing it right then. They leave it and they embark on a path that goes away from sin. That's hijrah. So ask Allah to make us among those who have lived as believers. Bismillah walhamdulillah wa salatu wa salam ala rasulillah wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. Here at MCC, we have put together a model. And our model is that we can actually build a congregation of rich diversity. People who come together not because, oh, I know that person from another country and I speak their specific language, which is not the language of this land. So now I'll tribalize with them. I'll nationalize with them. Because if you go back to Sykes-Picot, raise your hand if you know what I said when I'm in Sykes-Picot. Okay, so just take a mental note, or perhaps, I don't know. I personally don't think it was if you took a note on your phone. Sykes-Picot, study that. That's when certain European forces in the early 1900s decided how will we chop up the Muslim world and how will we put certain people in control and what kind of policy will we plan for the long term for those Muslim people. And Israel was part of that map. And so we have to see how we are void of real leadership. We cannot hope that the Muslim leadership over there is going to do anything for us. They're not. They're actually working against us right now. It's going to come from here. We are going to be the solution to the problems of the world. And I'm not just saying just for Muslims. Rahmatan lil alameen. This religion is about compassion and benevolence and kindness and care to everyone. The standard is right now, I got mine, Jack. Power, money, corporation, influence. That's what they told us when we went to the UN in 2004. We were complaining to John Negroponte and then Shashi Tharoor. And he said, I'm sorry, Shashi Tharoor is one of those very proper talkers. He says, you don't seem to understand how the world works. It's not about your moral directive of justice and freedom and all that. I know people use those as slogans all the time, but it's about interest and economic power and consolidating that for yourself as the power of people. That's how the world works. Islam does not call for that. Lillahi ma fis samawati ma fil ard. It is His mercy and His compassion that will bring us together and bring goodness. So we have to focus ourselves, educate ourselves, engage in an integrative process of being head held high. I'm a Muslim. I'm not hiding it. I'm not trying to slide under the radar. Other communities have held their head high as who they are, made their contributions, and they get what they want on the national stage. This is not the Imam just making up, blinded by his faith, These are the Mongols invaded the caliphate. They took over the caliphate. They had stacks of bodies as high as the biggest skyscraper. And they took over about half of the Muslim world. But then within 100 years, with Muslims truly being Muslim around them, being Muslim and very comfortable in that, and knowing what that means, and communicating and living that. Well, those Mongols, their leader Genghis Khan, and his tribe of Khans, and now we pride ourselves that the word Khan is a Muslim name, because they all chose to convert to Islam. Why? Why would you convert when you're the political authority and you have dominated and taken over these barbaric Muslims? Because we are not barbaric. Do not internalize Islamophobia. They are doing a mass brainwashing. Do not buy into it. Be very comfortable. Know who you are, what you're about. Integrate, establish, build coalitions with people who have good morals and values, and there's a lot of them. We have to be part of this process. Ya Allah, we ask you to motivate us, to inspire us, to wake up our hearts so that we may live for your purpose. Ya Allah, we ask you to forgive us for our sins, for our ignorance, for our arrogance, for our laziness, for our weakness. Ya Allah, you are the strength because we are weak. Strengthen us. Ya Allah, you are rich and we are poor. We ask for you to enrich our lives with your truth in our character and in our values and in our word and deed. Ya Allah, uplift us and raise amongst us leaders who will represent you to the world, who will be ambassadors of the prophethood, who will bring benevolence and justice and truth to the world, who will eradicate the world of corruption and tyranny and oppression, and who will not fear anything but standing in front of you on that day when all we have is our own souls, our own deeds, and the intentions behind them. Ya Allah, help us to understand true value and wealth and worth, and give us that value and worth. Send your peace and blessings and mercy upon your messenger Muhammad and all of those who follow him until the day of death.
Ameen.
Please forgive me, I went a little bit over, and we have a special guest today. We have someone who's running for Congress out of Chicago, Illinois, Rush Darwish. He's our Muslim brother out of Chicago who is following my khutbah before he came, and he's out to do good for the world as a representative of our community. So he's going to address us.
Thank you very much. Assalamu alaikum. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. My friends and family, I do come from Chicago, and yes, I am running for United States Congress. However, not only am I running for all my Muslim brothers and sisters in Chicago, I am running for all Muslims and be the voice for all Muslims around the nation. In Chicago alone, which I will tell you, is the same story that we may have here in Charlotte. We are the hardest working, great people who are professional, and we have been very successful in all types of fields. In Chicago, we are the business leaders, doctors, lawyers, engineers, and I can go on and on. However, in Washington, D.C., we have a zero voice to represent us and represent what our concerns are. And when we talk about our concerns, we talk about the hate crimes that are on the rise, not just in Chicago, but nationwide. There is no voice to stand up for people who are hurting our brothers and sisters in Kashmir, as the Sheikh alluded to, in Yemen, in Syria, Palestine. So yes, this is the moment that we all have to rise up and come together and bound as one, as we head to Washington, D.C., and to make sure we join Ilhan Omar and Rashida Tlaib. It is our moment now, more than ever, to make sure we rise up against hate, against Donald Trump, who is working hard every day to destroy the American dream. I'm running for United States Congress to reclaim the American dream. My parents, Hajj Amir Darwish, Faiza Darwish, they came from Palestine. And they didn't come with the Muslim dream. They came to this country with the American dream. And that's what we're doing every day in fighting for the American dream. We want to make sure that we continue to honor our parents by working hard and taking care of our families. However, the big problem we have is Donald Trump and his agenda is taking on Muslims like us here and Muslims all over the world. They are against us. We need a new voice in Washington, D.C. to stand up against hate. And inshallah, I am running for United States Congress to take on the people who are trying to be against us. We are the hardest working class in this country. We are Americans. We belong here, and we must stand together. And I am running for Congress to stand up for you. My friends, I thank you for all your support. Please make sure to visit my website. It's rushforcongress.com, rush with the number 4 congress.com. I can't do this alone. We will need national support to help this campaign. In Chicago, we do have one of the largest communities in the country, over 400,000 Muslims. However, it's not going to be enough. I'm the only candidate in my race in Chicago that's not taking any special interest group or PAC money. So the bottom line is the only way that I'll have any chance to win is if we have the support of all our brothers and sisters around the country. So shukran kathir, jazakallah khair. We appreciate you so much. And again, my name is Rush Darwish, and I am not only going to represent you as a proud American, I want to represent everyone so they know that I'm also a Muslim America. Shukran kathir. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Thank you.